Hey everybody, this is Market Xero. I wanted to make this video to show how to install and use the custom footprint indicator that I developed for Tradovate. It's based on an existing indicator within Tradovate that's available within the community indicators by Hector called Footprint, which is based off of another indicator developed by somebody that goes by the name of Sethmo. So this has been customized to better replicate some of the Sierra chart footprint features that we see. And I can quickly walk through that here. You notice right hand side we have the gray deltas. These, well, not gray deltas, gray volume bars rather. These are the total volume at this price level. So see here at 57.50 we had 658, 698 transacted in total up to this point. And what you'll see on the left hand side then is the delta between the bid and the offer, or the sell and the buy. So the buys, the offers are going to be blue, the red will indicate the bid or the sell. In this case, we see maybe 1387 here at 57.25 with a 135 delta, showing that there are 135 more buyers at this price level for this particular footprint. And then the interior column here will be red or green, showing if it's a red or green candle, and that rule for candle opening and closing applies here as well. So in previous footprints, we see here that it opened at 58.61.50 and closed at 58.75. And this one looks like it's trying to be a red candle potentially as well. So to get your charts looking like this and install, let me walk you through this. And to do that, let's start off first by loading our default workspace that some of you might be working from that point. You can see here you can save your workspaces, your templates, once you have your charts looking the way that you want them. So you see I have mine saved right here. Let me just go to reset, and you may see something like this. This is wild. Okay, you can make one of these full size. I'll just do that for now. Typically you'd probably end up closing out any of these items you don't want. So if you didn't want, for instance, these charts over here, you could just close this out. I'm just gonna maximize this to full size. And first thing I'll do is just delete these indicators: Bollinger Bands, simple moving average, RSI down below. Looks like we have some kind of toolbar thing going on there. And there's also there's a bunch of other things. We have volume profile and market and some charts in the back. It looks like maybe auto fitting as well. So we can resolve that by going to chart settings, and I'll turn off the market depth, which is the red and green. Actually, before I even do that, let me turn off the continuous auto fit. Turn that off. Okay, now I can move things around here the way I want, and I can use my center button scroll to resize the y-axis, and I'm just left clicking and dragging the bars across here to get where I want in the chart. So this red and green on the right hand side is our market depth. I'm gonna turn that off as well. And then the gray is the volume profile. I don't use this default one because I believe this resets at the market session open, not regular trading hours, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And again, looking at this here, I'm in Mountain Time, so this is 2 hours behind the Eastern Time that the brokerages are operating from. Anyways, this, I believe the day volume profile is showing from when the session opened at, I think it's at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to turn that off as well because I don't use that. And we have a bunch of lines here, it looks like, as well. I'm going to turn off the grid. Don't need the background grid, and I also don't use And you don't have to do all this. This is something I just want things cleaned up. I'm going to hide all the price levels. I'll put the current price on. Okay, so this is a little cleaner, something easier to work with. Now to install my indicator, you're going to want to go to Indicators and then Explore Community Indicators. And then you just type in my screen name, Market Xero. Yours won't look exactly like this, but you'll see a title here called Delta Footprint by Market Xero. And the buttons down here, it can give you an option for install, or if you had it installed already, to uninstall. Since I'm the developer of this, it has different options here for sharing, unsharing, and adding a picture. Which I guess I should add a picture to this. That'd probably be a good idea. Let's show what that looks like. Wow, I had 211 downloads. Hooray! So you would hit install button here, and once you do that, you'll have a modal appear on screen showing you can find this indicator under Market Xero. So I'll close this out, and given that, now you can go to Indicators and you'll see this new section here called Market Xero in Indicators available to you. And you will have just this one here, Delta Footprint by Market Xero. This one is the next version I'm working on, which can resolve some bugs and some other new features that I can share a link to. This as a public roadmap I have that others can contribute to. Anyways, if you want to go to Market Xero and then click Delta Footprint by Market Xero, it'll show the settings here. I'll walk through these later, but I use these by default. Whatever's here by default, I program those default values that works for me, which is, I guess, a bit self-serving, but I thought it might be a setting that many others want as well. You can save it. You can alter these as you want, but right now let's do save. And your screen is going to look the same. You might think, wait, what did I do wrong? So the first thing to know about footprints is that you will need to zoom in to view the details of that footprint chart. And you start zooming in. I'm using my scroll function on my mouse. It might be your middle scroll button or something of that nature. But as you start zooming in, you'll notice that there are some different bars here available for the total volume and the delta and the values for each one of those, but it's clouded by the existing candle chart stick symbol on here, or your candles bars on here. So you want to go to candlestick and no longer select this candlestick option, but select line. And you'll notice now it's cleaned up pretty good. You'll still see a line here, and you're going to want to go to your chart elements and configure that by hitting, you may see the symbol name here. It may say 5 minute, whatever you have for your default. You click on that and just change this price line opacity from 100% to 0. Hit save. Now that line is gone. So now it should appear pretty close to where you want. You've turned off autofit, you've turned off the candlestick option, and now you're using the line. You've turned off that line so that has 0% opacity. You can zoom by hovering over the main chart area so you're in closer or further away. You can also zoom on the y-axis to make the vertical height taller or smaller. Now, one last adjustment I want to make here is you notice we're in the 5 minute chart, and we don't use the 5 minute chart. We want to use, at least for ES or MES, we like to use a 20 tick or 5 point range. So click on time period, click on range, and change this from 4, which is 4 ticks. There's going to be 4 ticks for every point. In this case, we want 20 ticks, which is going to be 5 points. Hit save. And now each footprint will be exactly 5 points or 20 ticks. And therefore, you're going to notice the times on the x-axis below will not be consistent based on a certain type of time interval. You see here 558, 639, 729, and you see next one coming up here is 739. So every time there's 20 tick range or 5 points printed, it'll then create a new footprint. I'm going to turn off the trade mode here and contract details, get us a little more visibility here. So it should appear like this. You may have challenges seeing this, and that may typically be because you fail to have some add-ons turned on. So to do that, you want to click up to application settings and you're going to check your add-ons. And now from your add-ons, you're going to want to turn on additional features. The ones you're going to want, I have tick stream turned on. You're going to need orderflow plus. You'll see this allows you to see detailed volume and market depth information, including the bid, ask, and the TPO advanced chart types, volume profile indicators, drawing tools, and VWAP, and cumulative delta custom indicators. This is free for me because I have been grandfathered into Tradovate because I've had it for a while now. But I heard from others that have created a Tradovate account after NinjaTrader had purchased Tradovate that this may be $49 or $59 a month. So that will be a consideration if you do end up using Tradovate, and that in fact is something that is charged to you. I do know that some prop firms like Top Step, this is included for free, and you just need to activate this each month. You're also going to want to turn on the free indicators, volume profile, relative volume. Might as well activate that, and advanced charting, which should be free. I never heard anybody having to pay for this. And if you have those turned on, it would be critical to have order flow plus turned on. It will not work without that turned on. But with those on, you should see the footprint chart. Now, there are a couple caveats to this. I believe there are some symbols that might still have issues with this, unfortunately. Right now, I'm aware that oil, CL, is not showing the footprint properly, so that's something I need to work on to resolve that. This will also work for NQ. So if you want to see NQ, it appears here as well. Now NQ, the book is a lot thinner and the ranges are wider. So look at how it's moving here. It's kind of chaotic. I've never played this before, but and like ES, typically like a 5-minute ATR during regular trading hours is going to be around 5 points, give or take a couple points. So therefore this 20 tick range makes sense. But NQ might move 20 points in a 5-minute period. So therefore you might want to change this value from maybe 20 and maybe instead use 80. And now maybe this will be a little less frenetic the way it moves. To help that be a little less chaotic, you might even want to change the number of price levels per bar from 1 to 4, since it's kind of like 4 times faster. Apply, save. And now, NQ is going to look a little more like ES does, but just be aware that now this is 4 ticks per every price level. And it's going to move a little bit more like ES does on the footprint. And you might better see, like in this case here, we see potential B forming here with a low volume node. It's just a little bit easier to read. Even up here you can see there's a P formed. You probably could have gotten this at the open. Put your buy here at 230125. Put your stop maybe a couple points above the top. Short of this, that would have been a nice play on Q. Damn. Okay, so anyways, let me go back to ES. I'm going to put these values back. to what I use for ES. And let me change the settings here for the footprint indicator back to 1. Okay, go to that current time. Okay, so wow, some high volume on this day. That's kind of crazy. Look at this. 2000, yeah, a lot of, must have a high volume day. So looking at this, you might want some additional customization around this. So let me explain how the other settings here work. You notice that these lines, these typically are not going to change. The price level you saw, just how I changed that based on the symbol. You might want to adjust this if there's a wider vertical range that you want to cover because the book is thinner. Scale factor is going to affect the way the text appears and then is hidden from view based on the scale factor. So right now I have it set down to 40, which means I can zoom in and see it at a smaller level. But if I change this value, for instance, to 80, hit apply, I'll save to come out of this. You notice now that this is no longer showing the values for the bars, and I have to really zoom out wider on the x-axis, the timeline, to show these. And if I zoom in, they'll disappear. And again, if you want to change that value, I had it set at 40 for default. If you want to even make it 20, for instance, save. Now I can really zoom in. I can really zoom out rather and still see the values for these bars. But you see at this point it's not really as useful because yes, it's condensed, but the values of the bars are overlapping, so it's not going to work on this display. Let me put that back to 40. And then these other values here are going to just change your font size. So if you're getting older, maybe you want to make these bigger. And you can see now the fonts are much larger. Let me put that back to the default and save that. And that's about everything for the footprint indicator. I'm going to add some more functions to this in the future when I get a chance. There's a request to make this compact, maybe show 0 prints. I want to look at doing maybe showing some volume profile options on here as well. I mean, it'd be interesting to have, like before we talked about, for NQ. Actually, look at this. Even at the even for ES was kind of a nice entry possibly here. You see, this is a nice P here, and it formed then a low volume node underneath these trapped buyers. Why is the rectangle not showing? I'm not a fan of the charting on Tradovate. I use TradingView. But here's a okay, it must be a magnet on. I don't know what exactly. Do we have a snap here? We must have a snap I'm not aware of. So this is snapping, to this area here. But anyways, you can see, it's the footprint show. This is a P. We had trap buyers right at the open. This is probably going to have been a good entry here, right? We came down, enter here, and take that short. Could have got a few points out of this possibly at 59 down to 53. That could have been 6 points. Not bad. Two of the indicators I'll show what I use on here as well would be the cumulative delta. So go to search, start typing cumulative delta. I know a lot of users on Tradovate use this as well. And this is often good to see when to understand when there's a change in a trend. So here, for instance, you saw there was a green bar, then gray. We have a neutral delta. And technically, this is before the open. I typically don't want to play the market, pre-market, but this could have been, a decent entry here too, where we had a negative delta, so shows there's a potential for reversal here. And if you were a pre-market player, this could have been a nice entry to go short if you want to hold into the open. But this is how I use that indicator to understand when a reversal is more likely to happen. You see down here as well. There's a gray here. And so I'm even starting to not even look for B's for longs or P's for shorts. Like here you can see there's a P formed here. And the gray delta. Right here is a touch in that low volume node. Again here in that low volume area. And then it ran up. So that could, how I use this to understand just a change in a trend. Let me remove these drawings. And then the last thing I use, I know a lot of people use the default profile, volume profile in here, but I don't really care for this as much because it's going to show, you see the market just opened. What time is it now? I'm on replay, so it opened like less than 30 minutes ago. Again, I'm on Mountain Time, not Eastern Standard Time. So the volume up here, price is being shown trade up here, the volume, even pre-market. So this is showing the volume since the session opened the previous day. I think it's at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Or maybe it's 4 o'clock. I forget exactly. I don't play after hours. But this volume is showing all the volume since that time. And so instead of using this, I prefer to use an indicator called volume profile. Volume profiles, apparently. And I'll just load the default in here for now. I usually change these colors, I guess. But to give you an idea, like this is showing now the volume just from the regular trading hour session open. So it's 9:30 Eastern Standard, 7:30 Mountain, and you can come in here and customize this volume profile. Like if you want to show, point of control, I have this pink on my trading view charts, so I'll like match that here as well. You can show, I use these sometimes as well, the lower volume and the upper value as well area. And I'll even mark the high value areas like this and then show the areas outside of the 68% as gray. Oh, and you have to actually mark, I changed the 68. Usually the volume profile is around 68, not 75. It's a little unusual. And now it just kind of shows like where the market has traded since the regular trading hours. And you can use now this to look for low volume nodes potentially for your trading. Let me remove the values here. I don't need these as well, labels. This is kind of nice. I use this as well. Sometimes I'll look for low volume areas like a stems on the B or the P footprints in conjunction with low volume in the volume profile since the regular trading hour session started to find entries and potential profit target ranges or at least resistance. So hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me on the Discord server, Market Xero. I'll also drop in the description below a link to this indicator along with the Trello board if you want to suggest features or vote on features in here currently. So thank you very much and best wishes on your trading journey.